Handy, over the years you played stacks of bass guitars. How did you come across Dingwall and Sheldon?
I was coming through, God, it was what, 14 years ago, I think. I was walking through NAMM, and there was a guy laying in one of the aisles, and I fell over him, and it was Sheldon. I mean, he had fainted from excitement. And no, we actually met in a hallway here at NAMM. You know, walking, you came up to me, I think, and said, "Would you like to try?" You know,
I was trying to go to the bathroom.
yeah, that's right, and I was going to take you in there.
and I bumped into him, and it's like, oh.
And, well, he showed me the bass, and as soon as I looked at it, you know, and the first thing I noticed was fan fretting on it, and I was unfamiliar with this. He explained this to me, and he ran the whole concept of, you know, the tempering of the instrument like a piano and all that. It just really intrigued me, and it's pretty rare that I'm intrigued by gear. I've got really basically enough gear to do my gig, and you're always kind of looking for that maybe new little thing that might be interesting, and I found it really interesting. But the thing I really loved was when I just picked it up. The finish work, the neck work felt great, and I had been searching for a 5-string for a long time, because a great deal of the work that I end up doing is replacing pre-programmed synth bass.
Okay.
You know, guys do their pre-production work, and then you come in and redo it. And it seems that most guys who do that, if you actually look at them when they're standing and their arms are out, this is the proportion they have so that they can reach that much farther down to the bottom of the keyboard when they're programming. And I literally could not find anything that sounded great on the bottom end. Most of the 5-strings had just kind of this big puffy, airy sound. And as soon as I plugged his in, I just went, the clarity on the B string was stunning to me. And I became a disciple then, and he's my hero. I mean, I wake up every morning, I have a picture of Sheldon next to my bed, you know, kind of with a real glow and aura about him. And
I can see the halo now.
yeah, no, that's the exit sign.
Okay, sorry.
But I absolutely love the gear, and I every time I talk to other cats about the stuff, first they always say is the fan fretting too weird to get used to. I said, don't think about it. You know, I mean, just, you know, it felt so natural the first time I played it. The only time it may be weird is if you're a guy who likes to look at the dots on your neck, and you get up to the top and you're playing, then maybe your dot's up here, but you're actually backspaced. So I just say, then learn the instrument, so you don't have to look at it.
Kind of simple right there.
So. Everybody's pretty familiar with your Candy Apple Red stage bass, which is just fantastic.
I adore that bass.
But you've got your new signature model Sheldon's building now. So how did that come about? Because that's really a new thing now.
Well, we've kind of talked about this over the years, that it would be kind of nice just to do something like this. And for me, it's kind of one of those calls that's always a little bit hard to go with, because to me, everything that comes out of the factory is great.
Yeah.
So I wasn't quite sure what I could contribute to making something me out of it. And I kind of said, you know, go with it and come up. And he came up with this, you know, a few little tweaks here and there that just made it that much more special to me. But I'm just, for me, more than anything, I'm really, really, really proud to be associated with these basses. And so I'm to have my name on it. It's really pretty amazing.
That's great, but I know it's more than just a name on the bass. I know the bass technically is even a bit different to all the other Lightning.
Well, he won't tell me what that is, so that I can't repro it on my own. So I'm totally in the dark.
Well, I'm going to put him on the spot. You've got to come clean now.
Sure, you know, it's I built 2 basses.
No, go ahead. I'll be back in a minute.
I built 2 basses with a really oddball wood combination, and I sent one to him, and that's the red bass. And since that time, I've built other basses with different woods, but he's always preferred the red bass, and just never put that wood combination into production. And for whatever reason, I can't remember why. But when it came down to, okay, I really want to nail it this time, I really want to get a bass that he's happy with, I went back to that original wood combination. Just basically tried to keep my ears open to what he's been telling me over the years is what he's liked. and then asked for his input on
And some other bass player who's more important than me.
Yeah, well, you get that, don't you?
Yeah, I get it all the time.
and so eventually it was just basically taking all of these inputs. I mean, if you look at our dots on the face of our neck, that came from him. And the first bass I got back from him had magic marker dots on the fingerboard, because we'd never put dots on. We're from Saskatchewan, dots cost money. And plus I'm Scottish, so it's a double whammy there.
They use peas instead of dots. They just mash some peas up.
And wheat on the side. So it's interesting revisiting this wood combination, because every time I get one on my bench and I plug it in, I go, this is a man's bass. This is power, it's muscle, it's strength, it's punch, and kind of wishing I would have been using this wood combination all along, because it just is such a special combination. But keep it specific for these days.
If he had done that, then my signature would have probably been balsa wood and cardboard.
Yeah, that's right. A really special bottle.
No, that's Dan Electro. So.
You tweak the electronics though. Because last year I remember when Lee was fiddling with the bass.
Yes.
He came in and he was talking to you at the stand, and you changed a few things. I don't know what you changed. You did something with the electronics. What's the
Oh, it was really too hyped at the top end. I think you put a capacitor or something in,
Yes.
and we just kind of brought it back, because I was starting to get just a little bit of hiss at the top end or something. It was a little. I mean, the parameters of the electronics, like everything, is like pretty enormous, and my personal needs. This is the hard part of building instruments to me. Is there's a ton of cats out there, and every guy has a different ear for things. And most of the time, like when I'm playing, I don't play with my thumb. I'm not a slap topping player. And most of the time, they want really a rich, kind of robust bass sound with like real clear top end, but it doesn't have to be that hyped top end. And we tweaked it back a little bit, and it's stunning. I mean, I've used it on a whole bunch of projects this past year when we did the first prototype for it. And every time I plug it in, the engineers just go, "Oh man, that's a great sounding bass." And to have something like that, where my standard has been my old Frankenstein bass I've been playing since the early '70s, that's my benchmark for looking at everything else. And this thing really fills the spot where it's been a real void for me over the years. But it left me in kind of a weird spot, because it became necessary to have a 5-string. And so now I've got that area filled, and I love playing live with this thing. I got to use it last night, and it was really, on stage at least, it felt really powerful. And
Right.
yeah, so it's great. It's really good.
It was neat to see it last night, because you get to compare it against other basses, and I heard every single note he played, every single note. And the other bass players, I didn't. I heard bass, but I didn't hear the notes.
That's the Dingwall trait generally though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I've got a Z3 and the flexibility of that is just mind-blowing. But it's, as you say, even down the bottom end, that bass string all the way.
It's
I can play
incredible.
that.
It's incredible to me, and that's why, like on my red one, we put the hip shot detuner on the E string and the B string, and you drop that B to an A, and you're still hearing a clear A off of it. And to me, that's just. And on the signature one now, we've got it on the B string only, and it's pretty weird, to be able to hear the notes at that point, where most basses move air and don't give you any tonality, or it's vague. And every time I listen back in the studio, that's all I was going. We're tracking. It's unbelievable. You're notes you're playing. To me, that's my gig. If I don't have that, I mean, why show up?
Yeah.
You asked about electronics. We scaled back the electronics or the electronic flexibility on his bass, and just focused on his needs, because as the #1 working bassist in the world, where? You think about the gigs he's in. I have no idea what kind of money he's riding on every single performance he plays, but he doesn't have time to sit there and play with knobs and find his tone. It's got to be plug and go. And And so that's a big part of his needs. And that's what we were trying to focus on, is get that tone, bang, right.
Can I ask you something on that?
Yeah.
Because this is a really interesting thing. You play such a wide variety of music for so many different people. And there are a lot of guys who get up on stage and find that they're continually adjusting the sound to cut through. Like almost, every second song they've got to make an adjustment so they can cut through and get heard. Obviously you don't seem to need to do that.
I never touch the knobs on the bass during the show. The only thing I might do is turn my volume knob just to fade out a last note of a song. I find the most distracting thing in the world to look up on stage when I see bass players that are playing and constantly playing with knobs. What are you doing? It's ridiculous. And I pretty much, this was the kind of thing that I found with Sheldon, where I always would tell him, no matter like how many switch positions there are, I usually find one position and then everything else is the hands at that point. So I don't need huge parameters of, when people talk about mid humps and all this stuff. I really don't care about that. I want one tone that I can maybe tweak a little in either direction that really works for me, and this bass nailed it. I sit there and I just go, I kind of don't even need the selector on this one. It's good to have it, and there have been some times, or like having the active passive option, because there are times when that is a nice thing to have, but for the most part, 90% of the time I find one tone setting, and that's what I play with. And if I need a little more edge, I'll play down on the bridge. If I want a little bit more mellowness, I'll play towards the neck, and kind of leave it in my hands to make those decisions and not the ear. So if anybody ever sees me on stage, they're probably never going to see me playing with the knobs on stage. I don't like that.
Is that clarity of tone and that cutting through the contributors to the design of bass?
I think it's a combination of us. I think the instrument that he builds and my style come together, because this is one thing I've prided myself on over like 40 years of recording and touring is touch and really how to handle the instrument. And he's given me an instrument that reads beautifully. So between the wood, the neck, using the Mando frets on it, and the electronics, to me it's a really nice combination, and that's why I'm proud to be standing here talking about it, because I don't have to make any excuses. This is an instrument I'm really, really proud of and digging being tied to.